Hi guys, today we're going to continue the reading, and this will be our second reading from the Bible. This version is the New Revised Standard Version, read letter by Cokesbury. And today we're going to read from Genesis chapter 2, verses 4 through 25, and this story is called Another Account of the Creation. So let's get started. In the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, when no plant of the field was yet in the earth, and no herb of the field had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no one to till the ground, but a stream would rise from the earth, and water the whole face of the ground. Then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Out of the ground the Lord God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river flows out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it divides and becomes 4 branches. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one that flows around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one that flows around the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris, which flows east of Assyria. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden, to till it and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You may freely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall die." Then the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper as his partner." So out of the ground the Lord God formed every animal of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. Whatever the man called every living creature, that was its name. The man gave names to all cattle, and to the birds of the air, and to every animal of the field, but for the man there was not found a helper as his partner. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man he made into a woman, and brought her to the man. Then the man said, "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, for out of man this one was taken." Therefore a man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife, and they become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. That is another account of the creation. So let's discuss a little bit. This is all going to be what I got from the story, and there's not going to be no judgment from anyone. Okay? We got each other? Good. So, first off, some of those words of places and rivers, don't know if I pronounced them right. Sorry about that. But try my best. And during the first half, it basically talks about the breath of life, and kind of like the first story was another like how this is another account of the creation. So that makes sense. The first story was similar to this one because it's a different perspective on it and adding on. So this basically talks about kind of the first part and how man was and how he was on the ground, and the earth, and how he made the earth his own with the land, and did what God said, and tilled the land and kept it fertile and such, and how God told him about the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This tree in a next story will be of very most importance, but we'll get to that tomorrow. So back to this. So this creation that's happening, this is still being happening. And then out of all of the living things on the earth, the man names, right? And that's crazy how God just lets the man decide, oh, you're gonna name everything specifically. And that, to wrap your head around, kind of is like, wow, he gave all of that responsibility to his first creation, basically. Well, not his first creation, but his one of many first creations, that type of first creation, humans. And he named all the animals, all the creatures of the earth. And then God said, pick out your person to be your partner of these things, right? And he said, none of these things can be my partner because they're just not the same, you know? So he took the rib. And thinking of the rib, why didn't he take a piece from the skull, the head? Why didn't he take a piece from the heart, or an arm, or a leg, or foot, or whatever? Why was it the rib? And that can have a lot of talking about. Many pastors go into that rib, and especially when people get married, this is a verse that is very much talked about, where man and woman become one flesh when they're married, and that's what they are here, to become one. And how that woman is created is from that rib, not from anywhere else. She is part of that man. She was born from that man, and that rib is like the center of your body mostly. So she's in the center of you, and that makes sense how you guys are created as one. And also the very ending where it says, therefore a man leaves his father and mother and clings to his wife, and they become one flesh. Very, very important, especially with marriage. And also the very, very last sentence, and the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed, because they didn't have any knowledge. They only knew God, and they only saw God, and they didn't pay attention to really anything else going on, and they just thought that was normal, and it was, until the next story, which we will talk about tomorrow as well. And that was a shorter story, but that story still is very important to this. Everything in the Bible is important, or it wouldn't have been in the Bible. And just the whole rib and one becoming flesh, I think, is the most of what I get out of this, and the most of what most people get out of it. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me what you guys think. And I think that is where I'll leave us today. And tomorrow, because I'm going to do these every day, daily devotion kind of situations, except I'm going to make up my own devotions, is the first sin and its punishment, starting with chapter 3 in Genesis. Page 2 at the bottom of this version. But if you have a different version, that's all good. So, yep. So I will see you guys tomorrow and talk to you there. Have a great day. Bye.